Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Remember that you can miss a lot of good things in life by having the wrong attitude. Hello, inspired listeners. Today is Wednesday, February 17th, and this is Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTIMES Radio, the voice of consciousness. I am your co-host, Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector here in Seattle, Washington. And if you want to do a little spiritual prospecting for yourself to find your own spiritual gold, you can find me at marklanehart.com. Best American Psychics, or internet search The Intuitive Prospector, and I'd love to work with you. Speaking of gold and a true heart of gold and a beautiful light worker, my co-host, Kim Thalken, founder of Love First in Encino, California. Hello, my dear.
Well, hello, Mark. That's such a nice introduction. I'm just all smiles over here. It's just good to be here every Wednesday with our inspired community. And as Mark said, I'm Kim Thalken, founder of Love First. You can find me at lovefirst.info. And, I just love the work that I do. I love the people that I work with. And certainly if there's anything that I can do on my end to help you in any way, to support you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, you can reach me at lovefirst.info. And also quickly, Mark, as you noted earlier in our conversation as we were eagerly awaiting the show, I do have a workshop. I will be hosting a 2-day workshop coming up here on May 14th and 15th, and it's called Angelic Guidance, How to Communicate with Your Guardian Angels and Spiritual Guides, and Understanding Yourself Through Angelic Eyes. So if you have a desire to open up the lines of communication, understand it, and hear what your angels have to say, this is going to be a beautiful weekend with a lot of healing and empowerment. And I'm going to add a lot of fun and excitement too, because anytime you can enhance that ability and you hear your angels and what they have to say to you, it just always brings in a lot of happiness.
And how fitting for that, because that's actually going to tie into today's show. So very, very interesting, the synergy of that. And before we get to that, the social media and how folks can interact with the live show right now, I too, Kim, have a workshop this Saturday. It is almost full. Spiritual Borders, north of Seattle, up in Arlington, Washington, at a Path to Avalon bookstore and spiritual supply shop. If you're interested, please visit my Facebook page or just internet search marklanehart.com. It's going to be focused in on spiritual healing, spiritual inspiration, mediumship, trance, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness, and it's called Spiritual Borders. So, Kim, how can our inspired listeners find us, interact with us, and participate in the show?
Yes, so everyone can find us on Facebook under Inspired Living Radio, Twitter and Instagram under Inspired, 4 and Us, Inspired for Us, Google Plus under Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. And this is where you can interact with us. This is where our community sends through their questions for either Mark, myself, or our guests. And also just share your thoughts. We really love to get to know everybody who's a part of this wonderful gathering every Wednesday. So that's where you can find us. You can also listen to all of our archives on OMTIMES Radio, Podbean, SoundCloud, Vimeo, YouTube, and also, Mark, I know you do a great job of archiving on marklanehart.com. So
I do, yep.
Yeah, so if you missed the show or you simply want to listen to it again, that's where you can find us. Just before we get started here, we also want to remind our inspired community what our inspired affirmation is for the month, and that is, all that I need comes to me at the right time and place in this life. Wonderful. It sure does. So we talked a little bit about the power of affirmations and changing our thought process, and this is one way to do it.
I love it. Thank you, Kim. So let's talk about our guest today, Belinda J. Womack. She's a spiritual counselor, teacher, and author of the Lessons from the 12 Archangels, which is divine intervention in daily life. And she's also a regular contributor to OMTIMES Magazine, which I didn't know that before the show. So another OMTIMES contributor, part of the OMTIMES family, which we love. Belinda is a scientist by training with dual master degrees in microbiology and environmental science from Indiana University. Belinda was called into service by the 12 Archangels while working in a medical university lab as she was doing a stem cell experiment. I love how Spirit always interacts with us at the appropriate time. For nearly 25 years since that meeting with her Archangels, Belinda has had an active spiritual counseling practice working with the 12 Archangels to support individuals, couples, and families with seemingly impossible problems to solve. The 12 archangels of the central sun, also the soul of the universe, are all powerful and all loving energies that pour forth from the heart of God like flowing rays of singing sunshine. Beautiful. These energies are similar to the music coming from a perfectly tuned orchestra, where it is difficult to distinguish one instrument from another. From the sacred music and light of the central sun, the 12 archangels created Earth, an amazing schoolroom established so that the oneness, and we would call all that it is, can dream a dark dream and experience the reality of fear and the illusion of being separated from the Creator. So I would love to welcome Belinda to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Welcome, Belinda.
Welcome, Belinda.
Thank you both so much for having me on your show. It just feels like it's going to be a family meeting because we all love angels.
We do. And I love this last sentence I read. You talked about an amazing schoolroom established so that the oneness, all that is, can dream a dark dream and experience the reality of fear and the illusion of being separated from the Creator. For our listening audience, can you go into detail what you meant by that?
Well, our Creator wanted to experience through all of us, right? We all come from our Creator. We are all made out of divine love, and we come from the energy of the central sun. So our Creator wanted to experience, what does it feel like to be in the opposite of love? And that would be fear. So therefore, we have planet Earth, where very, very brave souls come to experience the opposite of love, and that's fear and everything that fear brings into our realities. That's the dark dream, the suffering, the lack, the heavy-duty emotions of guilt and rage, and all of those wonderful opportunities to learn, but let's face it, it's really, really tough here. But as we learn, as we transform, as we choose love, we are given the opportunity to share this experience of what love feels like and looks like to all of oneness. And so that is truly the higher purpose of, well, why do we come to this wackadoodle school? Why are we asked to go through this? Because it's pretty intense here. But if we can remember that, so that's how we learn, through opposites. And so when we don't have love, that's when we get to learn the great value of it, so that we choose it. And we're making that choice for all of oneness, for all of God's universe, to respect and treasure the greatest power there is the power of love.
And for our listening audience, Belinda, take us back to the day that you were in the medical lab. So you were working on stem cells, which I do believe is the future, a lot of the future of what we're doing in medicine for everything, stem cell experiment. And take us back to that day when all of a sudden did just 12 archangels walk into the medical lab and say, "Hey, Belinda, what's up? How you doing?"
Not exactly, Mark. It was a little bit more subtle than that. So I was working on a bone marrow sample, and I had my out of laboratory experience. That's the way I like to call it. So it was all of a sudden I wasn't in the lab anymore. I was in a stone room, an ancient room. There was dirt on the floor. I remember, hey, this isn't going to work for sterile technique. How is this going to work? And in this incredible, glorious ray of light was the Archangel Gabriel, which I know that Kim has a wonderful relationship with Gabriel. And Gabriel said,
"Yes, I do. Thank you."
Yeah. So, and Gabriel said, "Well, your work is about to change, Belinda. We need you to help humanity to remember that they are God's divine children." And I said, "Well, I don't, really have the experience to do this. I don't have the credentials. So, and I don't know where I am, and I don't really know what's happening." And Gabriel said, "That's okay. You'll learn, but it's probably better not to resist this because we're calling you." So that's the short version. And I ended up back in the laboratory. I thought I'd been gone for at least an afternoon, if not a whole day. I looked at my watch, and not even 1 minute had gone by. My whole body was vibrating, and that was the beginning. That was where it started.
That is amazing, Belinda. I was reading that too on your website, this interaction that you had with Archangel Gabriel, and I just can't even begin to imagine. I find too their messages are so powerful, but yet always delivered in a very kind of subtle, gentle way. If we could just hold this thought for 2 minutes, as we are going to head into break here, but I very much want to continue understanding that experience even more. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTIMES Radio.
Hi, this is Julie Geigel.
I'm Maggie Chula.
And I'm Catherine Glass.
And we're the Psychic Angel Channelers. Join us every week here on OMTIMES Radio for Angel Talk Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
The angels have heard your call and are here to help.
Are you ready to receive?
Remember your magnificence with Angel Talk Tuesday.
Are you seeking answers to life questions? Would you like to connect to a departed loved one? Are you suffering from pain, stress, or anxiety? Kimberly Thalkin is a tested, certified, and professional psychic, spiritual medium, energy healer, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Love First, where life transformations happen. Love First services support, guide, and empower individuals by connecting them to their highest potential to live a healthier, joyful, and meaningful life that's filled with purpose. All services can be done by phone, Skype, or in person in Encino, California. Please visit lovefirst.info. That's LOVEFIRST.info for more information. Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTIMES Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTIMES Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back, inspired listeners, to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim, and our special guest today, Belinda Womack. We are talking about the beautiful topic of angels and angelic guidance. Belinda, before we went to break, you were sharing with us your introduction to the angels. First, I want to say I love that you've got this scientific background. You know, people think sometimes, I think that if you're doing this work, maybe you came from a woo-woo background, so to speak, or, you know, you spent 10 years meditating in India. I don't know. But not really, not so much. I mean, you came from a very, a scientific background. That's oftentimes what some people might think of as opposite of, being open to this kind of work. And here you are in the lab with Archangel Gabriel and a very special life-changing message that has come through. So, did you have any knowledge of the angels before then, or working with them in any way? This was just this appearance out of nowhere.
I believed in angels when I was little. I definitely, they were hung out with angels and they were my good buddies. But, I pretty much shut that down when it was between 11 and 12 when I decided that I was going to be a biologist. And so it was definitely a shock, Kim. I really was shaking all over after I had that meeting with Gabriel. And, it's as I'm sure that both you and Mark have experienced in your own ways, but whether it's angels or spirit or ascended masters, however the call comes, it's a shift in our atoms, and it says, well, guess what? We're going to put you on a different path. Because you've got to transform yourself. And then as you do that, you better learn to love transformation, because you're going to start to help other people to do the same.
Right. Oh, I love it. So, it's interesting, Belinda, because that's quite a message. You're on one very clear, different path. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting this message that your life is going to start changing. And you see this shift happening actually with some of my clients where, they are certain about a specific path that they're on, but I'm getting the sense that they're going to start taking a new path, and ultimately they start getting that sense too. But it can be a little scary, stepping into the unknown. So for other people listening today who may be getting those same messages and a little afraid, that life is going to change in ways that are unknown to them, what do you say to them about that transformation process?
Well, the first thing that I would really like to say is we need to stay grounded when these things happen. And I believe that God has blessed us with a very, powerful, logical, rational part of our brain that does sometimes overcompensate for our spiritual, intuitive, creative part of our brain. But we have that logic there to ground us, and it can be helpful. So what I mean by that is that we want to take this transformation that happens over and over and over in our lives one step at a time. It goes with the affirmation that the two of you shared that started off your show. Let's be here now. Let's listen. Let's ask for the next step. And then what's going to happen is we're going to feel those angels and those loving friends and family that are right in the vibration of heaven. You know, heaven is just a vibration away. It's the vibration of unconditional love. And we have so much help to go through the change into a better life, into a better reality. That's what it's about. You know, we're asked to let go of what doesn't work for us. Believe it or not, that's what we're asked to let go of.
You know, I just want to touch on a concept that you talked about earlier, and then it's a little bit about what I read on your site too, where you say that you teach your ego. You teach someone's ego how to let go of believing that you are separate from source. So why is that we believe we are separate? And many people don't believe that they can actually communicate directly with God or hear God directly, or they are a part of God, or God is a part of them. Why is that? How does that happen?
Well, from my perspective and training with the Archangels, you know, God created our ego. You know, this is part of being in school here, is that our personality / our ego has the ability to believe in separation. It's what allows us to believe that we are separate from each other and separate from stars and planets and everything else that's on our planet as well as in the universe. And so because of that belief in separation, it can make it very difficult for us to then, you know, take that leap into that other part of our brain that says, hey, but we all live in oneness. We're always together. Everything I think impacts you. Everything you think or feel impacts me. Really? How can that be? Surely you don't hear my thoughts or feelings. Surely I have those all, you know, sequestered deep inside of myself. But the truth is, we do feel and we do hear everybody's thoughts and feelings. And the more sensitive we are, the more that we experience that. And I think that as we become more conscious, that's when we can help that ego to say, hey, look, let's just choose love. By simply telling our ego, there's two key phrases the angels say. I surrender. To say that a lot. I surrender. And the second one is, of course, we know this one is, I choose love, but they really do work well together. Because when we say I surrender, what we're really doing is we're taking that ego and we're fusing those two parts of our brain together, the logic with the spiritual, and it just calms down. And then as the ego starts to calm down, because it thinks it's supposed to be in control of our world, and we say, I choose love, then we breathe, and then it's like, oh, because our thoughts and our feelings create our experiences, they create our reality, just because that's how our Creator creates. So we do it in the same way. So I know those are big concepts, not for the two of you, but it really does come down to, let's love that ego and let's nurture that ego by saying, hey, let's just surrender to something happier, surrender to something better. And that's just the first step to letting the love in where the love is missing. Honestly, that's just what it's about. We just need more love. We all just need more love.
All you need is love.
All we need is love. And I love that I choose love. I choose love. That is beautiful.
Well, the ego, again, wants to believe that it makes all of the choices. And the truth is it's actually our ego is driven by our subconscious. So 90+% of the choices we make are actually coming up from the depths of our subconscious. So a lot of what my book is about, my work is about, is reaching that subconscious so that we can transform it. So we can become more conscious about the choices we're making instead of actually being kind of like our own victims to our own buried beliefs down there that we don't even realize what's driving us. Mm-hmm. Did I make sense with that?
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
I would even say for the listening audience, one of the things that I like to teach and pass on is, the acronym for ego stands for edging God out. And I have actually taken it one step further and named my ego Igor, so I can differentiate between the two and get him out of there so I can do my work in spirit.
But Mark, you have to love your Igor. As I'm sure you know, you got to
love him.
I
love him. I just sometimes have to separate so I don't get in the way of the work that I'm doing and not edging God out in the process.
Yeah, I understand.
Belinda, you talk too. I love how you're talking about working with the subconscious, and the subconscious is like a database of all of our experiences in this life and past lives. You talk about, we're coming up on break here, but I'm just going to put this out here before we get to break. You talk about how our parents and even our ancestors who came way before us, that their limiting beliefs and thoughts affect us today. How is that possible? Like, for our parents, okay, they raised us, but what about those ancestors that came many generations ago? How did they still affect us today?
Through our DNA. If you remember that your ego actually began with one cell from mom and one cell from dad, and in those two cells live your ancestors. So it is all there.
Interesting. Yeah, because I bet people don't think of that. They think about what's right in front of them affecting them today, but really it can stem from generations ago.
Well, it definitely can, and it can be transformed. So it's just about looking at reality, looking at our lives and saying, wow, that doesn't work for me. And then to hear, we can change this. Anything and everything can be transformed because we are made in the image of our Creator. We are God's divine children. We have all the power that we need to truly transform anything that feels unhappy to us or is creating misery or suffering. That is our birthright. We are pretty powerful, we human beings.
Yeah, most people don't realize the power that they hold. So that's wonderful to be able to teach that to people for sure. When you talk, you do obviously a lot of work with the angels. Oh, and there's our cue. My goodness, the time goes by way too fast. All right, stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes with our special guest, Belinda Womack, and the 12 Archangels.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTIMES Radio. IOM FM.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know. I tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTIMES Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTIMES Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business. One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Mark's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream. Dare to explore. Dare to live. For more information on Mark's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marklaneHart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTIMES Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTIMES Radio, the voice of consciousness. As we get ready to kick off the second half of the show with our special guest, Belinda J. Womack, we wanted to bring this opportunity for our sponsorship, which is the Happiness Road Tour. And the Happiness Road Tour is a movement that is dedicated to spreading the happiness across every major city in the U.S. The Happiness Tour first stops in New York City with an evening of inspiration, entertainment, and meaningful connection that will help spread happiness. Choose happy, or you can visit happinessroadtour.com to join today. And with that, Kim, let's get into the second half of our show with Belinda talking about the 12 Archangels. And you had a question that you were going over before we went to break.
Yes. And now I lost my thought. My train of thought.
Well, let's talk about the book, because she has a new book out, and let's talk about the details of this book. And Belinda, just take us through, because it's, according to you, Belinda, and you're quoting this, we are here to learn through our experiences and choices that we are children of the divine. Now, is that your quote, or is that what you first heard when you started interacting with the Archangels?
So that's a quote from the 12 Archangels. And
it is, okay.
Yeah, and so the 12 Archangels are, their number is symbolic. So just like we have 12 signs in the zodiac, and we have 12 months of the year, their number represents going through an evolutionary cycle. So their role is to help us to evolve. And we are evolving in our consciousness to remembering that we are children of the divine. And with that, we have the power of our Creator. We have all of that. We have access to all of the helpers in heaven and throughout the universe to help us get through our lessons. And our lessons are all based on really about choosing love and resurrecting that divinity. And I don't want to say resurrecting the divinity. It's resurrecting the awareness.
Awareness of it, yeah.
Yeah, the awareness and the power of that. So, Lessons from the 12 Archangels is a totally channeled book, and so every word of it is from the 12 Archangels. I channel them as a community or as a group of teachers, of mentors. So my favorite thing about the book is that I can use it every single day. If I, get stuck on something, all I have to do is say, "What? What are you trying to tell me?" And I open the book every time, and there's the answer wherever my eyes hit the page. And I, as the two of you do, I'm in communication with these angels, around the clock. So, but it's still great from that ego's perspective to have something I can hold on to and to ask that question and open it. So, but that's kind of a little bit of what they're about.
Now, along with the book, it says here you're also the creator of the 12 Archangels University. Now, is that there in Freeport, Maine? Is it an actual online presence, or is it a physical location?
That's an online 15-module university where I teach through the Universal Weight tarot cards. Now, I'm not teaching tarot. I'm working with the images in order to open up the creative spiritual hemisphere of the brain. Because the 12 Archangels are all about helping human beings to really be able to trust their intuition. So, you want to be able to hear it, feel it, taste it, live with it and really be able to say, yes, I've got it, and it's grounded. And so that's where images can be so incredibly helpful to opening up that, sometimes the underused part of our brain.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Belinda, you talk about the 12 archangels of the central soul. What does that part mean of the central soul?
The central soul, or the central sun, just is another word for God. It's another word for the Creator or for the universe. But they use central sun because it's where our sun comes from. It's where our souls come from. It's just what it does when we actually read the word or we hear the word. It starts to, reach deep down again into that subconscious, and it says, oh, we're all one. We all come from the same source. So the central sun means source.
Got it. Yes. Okay. Now, we had a question that came through from one of our listeners, and she wanted to know, do certain angels have domain over certain parts of the earth? And she says that she has witnessed different practitioners invite in to open up, let's say, a circle. Say, invite in angels of the north, angels of the south, of the east and the west. Do you understand the angels in this way, or do they have domain over certain parts of the earth?
Well, the 12 archangels would say that it's not exactly a domain situation. They all work together, but they definitely have their vibratory flavors. So, for example, Archangel Gabriel loves to work with the element of air, and that's often associated on a medicine wheel with the direction of the north, as an example. So they all work together. I mean, that's the amazing thing about the 12 archangels. They just have so many different names, and that's why they don't like their names to become an issue. They don't want people to quarrel over, hey, is my name Horus, or is my name Metatron, or is my name Jupiter? They just want us to understand that they hold us here in this school. They hold our solar system together. They hold us in the universe. They guide us, especially spiritual healers and teachers. We're always being guided by the 12 archangels at all times, whether we know it or not. So they would say, please go with whatever your belief system is. If that is that you call in the angels from the four directions, which is what the Native Americans and indigenous peoples like to do. They like to call in the four directions. It all works together. And that's why, again, they come from the central sun, which just means the center or source. It all works together. So do what works for you.
Yes, that's oftentimes what I talk to my students about, the people that I'm working with. There's no right way or wrong way. It's you kind of develop what works for you, and they work with you in that way. That's how I understand it too. We have got just a ton of questions that are coming in. Everybody just loves the topic of angels. And the next question is, what is the core teaching that the angels would like to share?
Well, the 12 archangels really love to give the message that it's never too late to have a happy childhood. They teach that within us is that divine child. And there's also a wounded child, which is just another word for what we hold in our subconscious, those limiting beliefs and those heavy-duty, lower vibration emotions. And so it's by working through that divine child, just take a picture of yourself as a child, and you can begin to really communicate with the parts of you that feel great and the parts of you that still hold on to the wounds and the hurts of the past. Take those wounds and those hurts and put them in the color purple or in violet fire. The angels talk a lot about working with our chakras and the healing energies and vibrations that God has given us and our batteries of spiritual energy, which are the chakras. But the color purple or violet fire, it's the energy of forgiveness. And it's really a powerful, powerful healing energy. So it transforms fear into love as we forgive. So we can take those childhood stories that also, guess what? We're just repeating stories from past lives in this childhood. We just take anything that still hurts and we put it in that violet energy, we put it in that violet color, and we're going to feel the liberation. We're going to feel the shift in the healing. And that's what we are about. And as we do that, wow, does that happiness just start to happen within us more and more every day. That's what the angels teach. Bring more heaven into your everyday life every day. And listen to that child and take the time and say, okay, hey, what's going to feel like a happy childhood for me today? What's going to make me, expand and shine and sing? And as we do that, we help every single child on our planet. We help every single human being on our planet. And we help every drop of water, every leaf on the tree, every animal in the Sahara, because we are all one. And it is through the child that truly we can, resurrect heaven on earth. It's our birthright. We get to do it.
Now, what about people, because I've actually worked with clients before too, where they don't want to go back to their childhood. They don't want to maybe understand where the root is of their unhappiness today. They it's too painful. They want to stay where they are, and they want tips and tools that are going to move them forward only. What do you say to that?
Well, there's great healing that can happen by understanding that we create the past again in the future. That's what human beings do, is we repeat our past in the future. So you can just ask for your creator, our creator, to fill your entire past with violet fire of forgiveness, and ask the energy to reach all the places inside that still hold on to the sorrow and are still holding on to the grief. That's a good place to start.
I love that. That is a beautiful place to start. Thank you for sharing that with us. And we are heading into our final break. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTIMES Radio. IOM FM.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTIMES Radio.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Welcome to The Gathering Around My Kitchen Table on Equilarium FM, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join my guests as we integrate spirituality into everyday reality with vibrant conversations, inspired interviews, and my latest channeled guidance to inspire and brighten your day. I'm Claire Johnson, and together we'll be raising vibrations across the nations.
Feed your soul with Waves of Consciousness on OMTIMES Radio.
And welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTIMES Radio. Thanks for tuning in. And real quick, Belinda, before we run out of time, it's just amazing how fast this show goes by. I want to make sure that our inspired listeners can visit your website, visit your 12 Archangels University. What's the best way to find you in this big world out there?
The best way is through my website, which is belindawomack.com. And my website is also going through a transformation. I'll have a new free gift up there soon and a new course. So I just ask for a little patience. But again, it's belindawomack.com.
And as far as the book, is that out on Amazon? Is that on the major publishing, or do you have a publishing house that you like folks to go through?
You can get the book through Amazon. You can order it through the publisher, which is innertraditions.com. You can also get a signed copy from my website where I channel a message from the 12 Archangels for you. So there's lots of, and it's in the bookstores too. I'm getting ready to do a book signing and workshop this Saturday evening, this coming Saturday, February 20th at Namaste Bookshop in New York City. And so they definitely have the book there too.
Oh, beautiful. So you'll be down in New York. And are you doing a lot of workshops up in Maine as well?
No, not so much in Maine. I'm pretty one of those very sensitive peoples, Mark and Kim. So, I do love to teach online when that works. Not that I don't love live events, but wow, going to New York is pretty intense for me.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy to begin with.
It's so much energy. Yeah.
So let's. We have a few more questions that we wanted to go over for the listening audience, and before the end of the show here. So let's get in a couple more questions, just so folks can have a better understanding of how the 12 Archangels work with us. What is heaven on earth? And why do the 12 Archangels teach that this is humanity's destiny to experience?
Heaven is a vibration. It's a vibration where there is only unconditional love. There's no fear. There's absolutely nothing lower than the vibration of love. And so as we bring love into our consciousness and we bring the vibration into our bodies, into our choices, then we actually lift ourselves up out of the lower vibrations of fear. And love is the greatest transforming power. It's an alchemical power that changes our lead or our fear back into gold, or our suffering into happiness. And it just does energetically. That is what the power of love does. So it's not just a thought or a feeling. It's a power. And as we work with it, we change our reality from the inside out. And so we can create far more heaven in our everyday lives. Heaven brings us that vibration of unconditional love, brings us abundance. It brings us good health. It brings us loving relationships. It brings us new opportunities, all those things that go along with having a happy childhood. So that's our birthright, is to really experience heaven more and more and more here in our everyday lives. And as we do that, we help the whole human family, the whole human race, to shift out of the violence and the separation and the suffering, and to experience greater love and healing and abundance and peace as well. So we help ourselves, we help everyone else too.
And, I would, another question we have goes right along those same lines, Belinda, as far as everything that we've seen out in the world from, the chaos, murder, the lack of having something, suffering. What do the archangels say is the cause of this and what we're seeing in today's society?
Well, the angels say that this is actually a purging of the past. If we understand that we create with our thoughts and our feelings and our belief systems, and what we humans don't understand is very often we're creating from our subconscious, which is the past. So what we're doing is we're repeating the human history in the present, and then we carry that over in the future. It is changing because we are becoming far more conscious of what we are doing. It only takes, a few of us can change the reality for all concerned by really focusing on that love. But that's what they say that we're doing. So what we want to do for those of us who are aware is we want to work with our angels and all of our helpers in heaven to look at the present, look at where the past is showing up in each of our own, kind of present reality, transform it. Do that for the whole planet. We can do that in meditation. And then that helps the human family, again, to shift their consciousness from the past so that they can live in the present, because they don't, according to the angels, most of us are clueless. We don't know that that's what we're doing. We don't know that we're continuing to create the past. Now, once we're awake, right? I'm sure the two of you understand it becomes obvious. It's absolutely obvious. But to so many human beings, they're so caught and trapped and just trying to survive. But this is the way we can help them, right? We can help them within our own selves, because truly humanity lives within us as we live within humanity. And so that's where conscious, spiritually minded and hearted human beings, we can make such a huge difference by, again, focusing on our own transformation and holding that intention for the human family to transform together.
And with that, Belinda, what would you say is the primary method of healing that the angels offer to help humanity transform their most limiting beliefs and deepest subconscious wounds? Just for the fact that, there's those of us that are awakening, like you talked about, but how do they work with us after we become awake?
Well, and I mentioned this earlier, but it's kind of a big concept. We have these amazing batteries of spiritual energy called chakras, and they come in God's rainbow. Just like when we see a rainbow after a storm, they come in that same array of colors. And those colors are love, but they have different qualities. For example, violet works for transformation and forgiveness, whereas ruby, or the red, works to move our emotions and clarify those stuck feelings. And emerald green, of course, helps with our hearts to open and to bring in unconditional love. So by just working with those colors, with our creative imagination, get that little child within us working with us. Imagine those colors, work with them, flood our planet with God's rainbow is a simple, very simple image that has a profound difference for Mother Earth, because we're working with energy. Each and every one of us is a powerful energy healer. And it's very, very simple when you work with these colors. And every time we do that, every time we just imagine emerald green or violet or ruby or sapphire blue from Archangel Michael for truth, the 12 archangels, they add in their energy to ours. And so we then plug into the chakras of the universe. And that's where that transformation, it picks up speed, it picks up in velocity, so that we have a lot of help, is bottom line what I'm trying to describe here. Mm-hmm. Whenever we work with healing energy, we have the whole universe has our back and is trying to help us with whatever it is that we are trying to transform and heal and bring love where love has been missing.
So I'm going to put you on the spot, Belinda, because I'm curious. You work with all of the archangels. Do you have a favorite, and why?
I honestly love all of them.
So you love them all equal the same? There's not an A-lister that stands out for you that you're like, they show up and you're like, oh, it's you. I love you.
That's just not, because they're so into oneness. And, there's no hierarchy when it comes to angels. They say that angels aren't above humans and humans aren't above animals. We're all in this together. So I have to just say, they're an awesome community, and I'll just, hold my ground here and say, I'm going to keep working with the 12 archangels of the Central Sun.
Love it. So just the oneness, working with the 12, but all one big giant angel.
Right, because some people believe there's 15 archangels, and they say the number is a metaphor. It all comes back to the Alpha and Omega, which is a circle. There is no beginning, there is no end. So, let's just remember we all come from our Creator, and the Creator lives within us, and we live within our Creator. So, let's just focus on creating that happy childhood, which is our birthright. And remember that, wow, do we have a lot of help on this journey, which is so important for the human ego, because it just gets stuck in believing it's here all by itself and there's no one that can help us. And of course, with the two of you, you teach all the time how much help there is. My goodness, there's just so much help, and our loved ones are standing right next to us, if not tickling us. And so, they're right here. They're right here helping us.
And I think we'll leave it there as far as they're always with us. They're always around us. They're just a thought away. And Belinda, it's been a pleasure having you on Inspired Living. Again, one more time, real quick for the listening audience, how can they find you out there on the internet?
BelindaWomack.com. That's BelindaWomack. And my book is Lessons from the 12 Archangels, Divine Intervention in Daily Life.
Beautiful. And check out that book. And as we wrap up the show, again, Belinda, thanks for being our special guest.
Thank you so much, Belinda.
Thank you both.
And next week's guest, join us next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific here on OMTIMES Radio as we welcome Colleen Murrow. We're going to be talking all about spiritual telepathy. How cool is that? So until next Wednesday, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Namaste.